Today we will be reviewing how to inspect the interstice of a double wall tank. We are here at MPTI's outdoor training deck. This 5,000 gallon above ground UL 142 double wall steel tank is installed with a safety deck grating around it, which gives us full access to safely inspect and train people on this tank. Normally you would have a catwalk or you would have some other safety harness and fall arrest system, then you'd have to clip off to the tank. So I obviously don't have that right now, but we're going to go through and talk about how to perform the inspection, identify some components for the interstice. So let's get into that. So tools that you need to perform this, very simple. You would need a flashlight so that you can look inside of the interstice. You would want to have your camera, either a camera phone or a camera. And then you may have to have some kind of wrench or tool to gain access to open the secondary or to remove the cap. It also may be locked, so you may need to have that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to identify where is the interstice and the riser for this tank. In this case, I would go through all the different components, and I would always want to be looking on one end or the other. It's rarely going to be in the middle of an above ground tank. It's usually going to be on the end with an external pipe, or it'll be right near the end. In this case, this tank is right here on this end, and we can see this wire going down in, which is also another indicator showing me that there is a wired sensor in the tank interstice being monitored remotely by a tank monitoring system. So after we've identified it, we would then want to remove the cap. There are a variety of caps. This one has a very easy access cam lock. No tools needed. I can just unlock it, pop it up, and remove the sensor. What we're looking for is we're looking to see the functionality of the sensor and the presence of water. So the presence of water is pretty straightforward. We usually should be able to just take our flashlight, look down the riser, and identify that. The functionality of the sensor would be either putting the sensor in a bucket of water and seeing if it sounds off in the alarm, or flipping the sensor and make sure that the float actuates and moves back and forth. So after those two things have been accomplished and we've removed it, verified it, visually inspected it, remember to take a picture, especially if you have water. Then you can go ahead and put things back together. Remember, if you have water in the interstice, your inspection just got a little bit more complicated. You now have to do ultrasonics on the outside of the tank, and we'll discuss it at another time, but you need to add that to your inspection. After you've performed that, everything looks good, go ahead and put the sensor back into the interstice. If there is a sensor, sometimes there's a float with just a little level indicator. Either way, return it back to the condition that it was in before you started your inspection. Resecure and relock the cap to prevent any water from getting in, and then you're done with inspecting the secondary. You verified that there is or is not the presence of water, and you've checked to see if the indicator, the float, or the sensor is functional. Now let's take a closer look at this. Now that we've identified this tank's secondary riser being located here, we want to gain access to it by opening up this adapter to get to the sensor, which is identified through this cable. We have our flashlight so that we can look down into the riser, and then we have a shop rag in case there is any water. So first, this is a very easy access adapter, cam lock fitting. We open that. We now slowly begin to remove the cable. Now for this one, I can already hear that there is water, and as I pull this out, you can see a little bit of water dripping from the sensor, and my hands are wet. I can smell it, and it's definitely water. There's no presence of fuel. I take my flashlight, very strong LED, and I can look straight down the riser and definitely verify that there is water in this riser. Again, checking to make sure that there is no fuel, just water. The next thing with this sensor, if it wasn't already in alarm, is I would want to verify by flipping it up and down or putting it in a test bucket of water to verify that it activates the alarm in the remote console. The last thing with a sensor is to make sure that the cable and the sensor actually go all the way down to the bottom of the tank. So I would need to measure down the diameter of the tank and make sure that this wire is going all the way down. A lot of facilities sometimes remove the wire and extend it up with this cord grip and then pull it up so that it keeps the sensor out of the water. After that is all done and we verified this, we need to reinstall it. Obviously, with the presence of water, it initiates the requirement for ultrasonic thickness testing on the lower third of the tank to verify inside-out corrosion of the secondary. So now that we've done the inspection, we verified that the sensor is functional. We've identified the presence of water and we've taken our pictures. We will go ahead and reinstall the sensor carefully. Resecure the cap, lock it in place. There's an option for a padlock here. Clean up our tools and move on to the next component of this tank. Following up, now that we've identified that there is water in this double wall tank, we need to perform ultrasonic thickness testing, and this is a quick demonstration of that on this outer part of the tank. So we have our couplant, we have our ultrasonic thickness device with the transducer. We would apply a liberal amount of couplant, hold the transducer to the surface, read the steel and identify the thickness with A scan or B scan to ensure that there is not corrosion from the inside out due to the water. This is typically done on the lower third of the tank, and after you get these results, they all need to be inputted into the report.